There's a general belief that to build a successful startup, you need a great idea. But a great idea is not enough. To be successful, a startup needs 4 things. 1, a product that people are willing to buy. 2, a business model that will generate revenue. 3, initial capital to get started, and then some more to increase the cadence. And 4, an organization that will be able to deliver the business plan. The reality is that most founders focus only on the first 3, the product, the revenue, and the capital. And they do not spend enough time thinking, let alone doing anything about the organization. And as a result, when comes the time for hypergrowth, the organization lags behind the business need, which means that the organization is not able to deliver what needs to be done. There is more to do than what can be done. This is usually because either we don't have the right people, or we don't have the right structure, or we don't have a way to motivate people properly, people don't know what to do, etc. And this is leading to a lot of startups failing to reach the next stage. I'm Caron, a people strategy expert, and today I am sharing tips on how to successfully build the right team at the right time for your startup. The first thing to know is that there are different phases of growth in a startup, and each phase comes with a different set of challenges. Building an organization is very similar to raising a kid. When a kid becomes a teenager, it's too late to teach them the basics of eating well, sleeping well, or behaving well. And actually, they will most probably not listen to you anyway. And as your teenager becomes a young adult, there is no way you can control what they do and how they do things. At best, you can hope that you've built a strong enough trust for them to come to you when they have a problem. And this is the same for an organization. From the moment you have 200 people, you cannot control what everybody in the organization does and how they do things. You can only trust that they have the right information, that they have the right mindset, and they have the right skills to get things done. And this is hardly something that you can do or change overnight. This is something that you have to build from day one. From 0 to 30 employees is the baby phase. It may feel quite chaotic, but it's actually the easiest phase of growth in your organization. Everything works quite organically. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows what the priorities are. They know what we're trying to do. They know the challenges. They are close enough to the founders to be able to ask a question when they have a question. This time will be always remembered as the good old days. So you don't need much processes. However, one of the main mistakes that founders do at this stage is to start building processes before articulating their core principle and their values. You may not feel the need for it right now, but trust me, that will shape the way you experience the next phases of growth. Once you hit hypergrowth, you won't have time for this. So defining your company culture has to happen early stage, before you reach 30 people in your organization. And this is your responsibility as a founder. So sit down with your co-founders and take the time to answer those 3 sets of questions. First, what do we do? Who do we do it for? And how do we do it? This will shape your company mission. Second, where do we go? Which future are we contributing to building? And this will shape your company vision. And finally, who are we? What type of leaders are we? Which type of people will thrive in our environment? And this will shape your company culture and your values. Really take the time to reflect and think about this and communicate over and over and over again about this. It is never too much, and you will have to do this more and more as the company grows, because this is what will keep your employees aligned, engaged, and motivated. Is your sales guy here to bring more customers in, or to help you change the world? And which of those 2 do you think is the most motivating? So at this stage, no formal structure is really needed, but that leads me to my second point. Stay lean and flexible as much as you can. Less is actually more when it comes to organization. The temptation to build formal processes usually comes when you see a problem. For instance, an employee arrives regularly late and doesn't get the work done. Therefore, you decide to enforce some specific working hours. As a result, everybody is penalized, everybody feels punished, and the problem with that specific employee is most probably still here. Make sure that you do not build processes by fear of confronting people. Most of the problems that you will encounter at early stage in your startups can be resolved by just speaking with people. You tell them what to do and not to do, and that's enough. Do not use processes for isolated problems that will most probably create more problem than solve problems. Processes, however, help to scale, and they will be extremely important at the next phase of growth. At 30 people, you reach childhood phase. That usually coincides with your first big fundraise, so around Series A and Series B. And all of a sudden, the objective becomes to serve much more clients faster. So you need to build the organization and hire a lot of people. Suddenly, everything that used to be simple becomes a struggle. So at this point, you need to formalize your practices. It's not just one salesperson that you have a whole team of salespeople. So you need to make sure that everybody is very clear in terms of what they have to do, how they do it, and that there's a consistent way of doing things in the organization so that ultimately those processes will end up improving efficiency at scale and also improving customer satisfaction, customer experience. As you build processes, resist the temptation to add new steps. If it was working fine before, try not to add a step where people have to get validation from their managers before doing something. That will just create complexity and result in more problem. Less is more. The third thing to know is that the first 100 people in your organization will define the next 500. So hiring is highly important. From 75 employees, you enter pre-adolescence. And you will reach 75 employees before you know it. You obviously plan to grow slowly, but all of a sudden you hired another 30 people, and guess what? You will probably double and triple in the next 6 months. Welcome to hypergrowth. So what you need to do at this stage is to ensure that you can hire the right people in the right role at the right time. At the early stage of your startup, things are quite simple because you can control the quality of your hires yourself. At that time, the famous hire fast, fire fast model works quite well. You are still figuring out who you are and what you need. The most important is learn from your mistakes so you don't do them again and move on fast. It's not good neither for the employee or for the organization to keep somebody who's not doing well in a role. So make sure you move on fast and hire the right people. But this model doesn't work anymore from the moment that you do not have regular contact with all your employees and that you need to hire 50 people and more at once. At that point, you need a professional recruiting team. Recruiting is a job, so make sure that you hire people that do only recruiting, not hybrid HR recruiters. So invest in full-time, in-house recruiting. It will save time, it will save money, it will increase the quality of your hires, it will increase the expertise within, and it will improve your employer brand. Finally, when it comes to people, everything takes time. Hiring takes time, motivating takes time, training takes time, managing takes time. Being reactive is not enough. You need to anticipate. One of your key strengths as a founder during this whole journey will be preparation and anticipation. If you want your organization to be ready for hypergrowth and get a chance to survive, make sure that you prepare for this and start now. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to add your questions in the comments or contact me directly on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help.